out. First of all, we've talked about ways to get our ideas when we did our life webs. We talked yesterday about every personal narrative needs a beginning, middle, and end. And many of you started working on your beginning, middle, and end of your story yesterday. Dakota, can you get that taken care of so you can pay attention? So today I'm going to tell you another thing that a good personal narrative always has in it. A good personal narrative story always starts with a catchy lead. A catchy lead. Lead is a way that you hook your reader. You make them want to hear more. See, I have the little narrative, then there's a hook, there's the fish. It's a way to make your reader get excited about your writing and want to read more. If you don't have a catchy lead, then your reader kind of goes, after reading the beginning, I don't know, that was pretty boring. I don't know if I want to read the rest. And you know what? I have to read a lot of papers, so I'd really love it if you have catchy leads so I could be excited about reading your paper. So I'm going to show you some ways, probably over the next couple of days, that you can make your lead really catchy and make your reader want to read more about your story. We've read some catchy leads in some of our stories. We had a catchy lead in The Magic Finger, remember, when I stopped and you wanted to hear more? So it really did a good job of hooking you and grabbing you and making you want to hear more. Jennifer, can you wait till I'm all done with my description?
Howard, can you turn, kind of like, let them think kind of like less bright and, it's a blog.
Hold on a minute. One way that you can, oh wait, turn and make sure you're facing the smartboard now. So Priscilla, you need to turn. One way that you can catch your reader's attention, so that focus, is by starting your story with some action. Okay, Nevaeh, I really need you to get your hair taken care of so that you can focus on what we're doing. So here's what I mean by action. Octavian, you ready? I dove into the ocean, kicked my feet in the cool water, stood up and wiped the water from my face. I paused. Something strange near the rocks caught my eye. Do you see the actions in there? I underlined a lot of them. Dove, kicked, stood, wiped, paused. So it starts with some sort of an action or movement or something is going on to grab you. Okay, did that kind of grab you? Something strange near the rocks caught my eye. But she started with some action. She was diving, she was kicking, she stood up. Okay, so that is one way you can start with, start your lead is with an action. Here's another way. I'm just going to show you two today. Dialogue or talking. What a great day for the beach, I yelled as I splashed in the waves. Suddenly, I stopped. What in the world is that over there, over by the rocks? So again, it's the same thing. We're talking about swimming, and we're talking about something over by the rocks. But on this one, she started with some action, and on this one, started with some dialogue or talking. Okay? So those are two ways that I want you to think about starting stories today. Let's see, here's some more examples. Here's another example of an action lead. It's kind of big, so I'm going to try to get it to fit. It says, this lead gets the reader quickly involved in the story by starting with an exciting event or some kind of action. So here's the example they gave here. I threw on my favorite red dress, scrambled down the stairs as fast as I could. It was my 8th birthday, and I couldn't wait for the party to begin. So see the action? Threw on my favorite red dress, scrambled down the stairs as fast as I could. Maybe I can find it. Threw on, so through, so show up, yeah. So there's some action. Scrambled down the stairs as fast as I could. So there's some action. Something is happening. And what was their lead? What's the story going to be about? Priscilla.
Her 8th birthday.
Her 8th birthday party. Here's some more dialogue. Talking. Sometimes it's called a talking lead. Sometimes it's called dialogue. It just says, this lead begins with dialogue. Dialogue is a word for talking. Example. See the talking marks? You always know there's some talking marks, some quotation marks. Someone's talking. Quick, hit the floor, my dad yelled. Whatever you do, don't look up, my mother added, as I dropped to the floor and slid myself under my bed. It was a terrifying night for my family when we discovered a bat in our house. So what's this story about, Jennifer?
Bats.
A bat in their house. That's the small moment story they're going to tell.
Like,
But it
they didn't
started
tell
with
us.
talking. So here's your talking. Quick, hit the floor. Whatever you do, don't look up. Okay, so they grabbed your attention by using some dialogue. Okay? So I was thinking about my story. Off. There you go. I was thinking about my story that I told you yesterday about when I was trying to go to the top of the mountain on my dirt bike. It wasn't really a mountain, it was a hill. It was a large hill. It was almost like a mountain. It felt like a mountain. And so I was trying to think of some ways that I could start my story by using action and by using dialogue. Do you have any suggestions for me? How about action first? Do you have a suggestion?
Your husband and your youngest child rode up the dirt hill.
Okay, so I could start with the action of them riding up the hill. Okay. Any other suggestions? Jennifer? Go ahead, I'm listening. Did you forget?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was kind of thinking, kind of along the same lines as Priscilla, but I was thinking more of starting with when Blake and I pulled up to the hill. Some action with that. So I was thinking of saying something like, I revved my bike up. So that's an action. I revved it up, sped around the corner, and stopped. My mouth dropped open, and I looked up at the hill. That was the biggest hill I've ever seen. So do you see the action? I revved up my motorcycle. Rev, that's an action. I stopped. Oh, I sped around the hill, stopped, looked up, and that was the biggest hill I'd ever seen. So do you see the action I started with? And what about dialogue? How could I start with dialogue? Someone has to be talking. Jennifer?
Like when you guys are at the hill and you were looking up, you were like thinking or saying that you were nervous.
Perfect. That's exactly what I was thinking. Jennifer must have read my mind. I was thinking of myself saying the dialogue. Blake and I would be together again because we're down at the bottom of the hill. So maybe I might say to Blake, that's the biggest hill I've ever seen. And then maybe Blake would say, yeah, Mom, I'm scared to go up that hill. So would that be a good start? Some dialogue between Blake and I?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to write my ideas down. Here's what your job is today. You're going to think about your story that you've chosen, that you've started your beginning, middle, and end about. I want you to, you're distracted by that. Think about how you're going to focus yourself back. I want you to go get your writer's notebook out and open to your first clean page. Write the date. And I want you to try out, put your hands down until I get all the directions done, and then I'll give you time for questions. I want you to try out at least one action lead and one dialogue lead for your story, just like I just did. So maybe you could write in your notebook, maybe you would write at the beginning, label it, leads. Write the date, 9-10. Okay, my first one's gonna be action. Okay, so there's my box. I'm gonna start with my bullet. And I would write my idea first. I'll just start. I'm not gonna write the whole thing because I want you to have time to write. I revved. R-E-V-V.
What is that?
Rev. Like when you vroom, vroom. I revved my bike, my dirt bike, up and sped around the corner. Okay, I'm going to underline my actions. Revved, sped. Okay, and then I would keep going, finish the rest of my idea. Now I said at least. Do you know what that means when I say at least, Priscilla?
Like, that means you have to put one or more.
I said at least one. So you have to do one. But if I say at least, you can try more. If you think of another action one that you want to write, do another one. Do two. Okay? So then, after I'm done doing my actions, I would come down and put dialogue. Box. My bullets. Remember, dialogue always has quotation marks. Okay? What did I say? That is the biggest
hill I've ever seen.
hill I have ever seen. I'm going to do exclamation marks. I was certainly talking excited. End of your talking. And then keep going, because then I said something that Blake said too. And Blake said, yeah, Mom, I'm scared to go up that hill. Okay? This is what your notebook's going to look like. I will turn it around so you can see.
So I can write it?
When you're done, I would really like for us to have some sharing time, because leads, I love writing leads. I think this is the most exciting part. So I really want you to share some of your leads that you come up with. Okay, does anyone have any questions before you go off to write?